Hi there, my name is Antonio Hernandez, and I will be discussing the case of Rhonda Johnson and Sharon Shaw. The two girls lived in Webster, Texas, a small town close to Galveston, and on August 4th was the last known day that anyone saw the two girls. The two girls went to the Wicks Water Ski School on August 4th, but the wind made it too rough for skiing. Later the girls went to another beach without their friend who drove them there. The friend left without the girls. After playing on the beach, the girls headed back to the Wicks to get the ride back, but their friend had left. So the girls decided to hitchhike back to Webster. That was the last anyone saw of them. When Shaw and Johnson did not come back home after dark, their parents reported them missing. Their friends assumed that they had run away to California. After their disappearance, two tropical storms hit the coast that fall, battering the marshes and sending silt and floodwaters spouting through the bayous around Clear Lake. After the storms, 3 bodies were found, which started the beginning of the Texas killing fields. On January 1972, 2 young boys were fishing on Clear Lake when they found a skull floating in the water, which they mistook for volleyball. An investigation was soon started, and 6 weeks later, the body belonging to the skull was identified as Sharon Shaw's, and not too far from her body was the body of Rhonda Johnson. Police attempted to investigate the girls' murders, but with other bodies found and a major change in leadership, the case went cold. It was then that newly elected city councilman Glenn Price received a tip from Don Morris, who would become police chief, that Michael Lloyd Self could be the girls' killer. Morris had previous multiple encounters with Self, accusing him of picking up girls' dresses, stealing gasoline from city fire trucks, and possessing marijuana. Chief Morris and Assistant Chief Tommy Deal approached Self at his workplace, questioning him about the girls' murders. After work, Self agreed to go to the police station for further questioning. After 3 hours of interrogation, Self had written out a signed confession for the murders. Self was taken to Houston to await trial and was appointed a lawyer who immediately told him not to speak to police unless he was present. In court, Self claimed to have been coerced to confess and that he had suffered multiple hours of brutal interrogation, including being shoved against a wall, being beaten with a nightstick, and being threatened with a pistol. He also stated that he was photographed nude in LaPorte and was personally visited by the police chief of Houston, but claimed no mistreatment there. Self not only confessed to the murders in Galveston, but also wrote out multiple confessions to murdering the girls and handing them off to the Houston police and the Harris Sheriff's Office. However, Self's lawyer and some investigators had realized that none of the confessions lined up to the actual murders. There were multiple mistakes, like the locations of the murder, how he murdered the girls, and even the girls themselves. Self's trial began on May 15, 1973, and concluded on September 18, 1974. He was convicted of first-degree murder of Shaw, but not Johnson, and received a life sentence regardless of the multiple false confessions he had made. 3 years later, after the trial, Morris and Deal were both arrested and charged with multiple bank robberies dating back to 1972, sentencing Morris to 55 years and Deal to 30 years. Over the years, Self applied for parole, but was denied multiple times until the Supreme Court ultimately refused his trial, completely exhausting his appeals. He died in prison of cancer in 2000. There were 2 more men who had claimed to murder the girls, who even admitted details that were never given to the public, but were turned away by the police. Since then, the girls' case had gone cold, leaving a lasting mark on the infamous Texas killing fields.